Greetings, my saplings. Alright, so in today's video, we are going to be going over some tips for copying the off-white UNC. Now, evidently, this is for the Tier 0 release. We already saw that Nike sneakers did a surprise drop for these. So, to be specific, what we usually talk about in these tips for copying videos are some first come first serve releases and also some raffles and how to get multiple entries into them. And at the end of today's video, I did want to mention some updated resale predictions on these and whether you should be holding or selling. Okay, so to kick it off, we're actually going to start with some raffles. First raffle we're going to start with is the sneakers and stuff raffle. We're going to use this as sort of a reference point because I'm going to teach you how to get multiple entries into this raffle, and I'll reference it later on when we discuss other raffles. Now, SNS hasn't actually opened yet. However, by the time you're watching this video, I'm sure they will have opened. And again, guys, all links for raffles will be on my Twitter, which is KeithAdam10. Now, by the time I upload this, I'm not sure I'll have the links up just because not all the raffles have opened up yet, but eventually they will be on my Twitter like they always are, KeithAdam10. So to kick it off for SNS, first thing you'll notice when you're signing up is that you have an option to choose from online or in store. I highly recommend when it comes to any raffle, guys, you always go for in store if you're within the vicinity of those raffles. The reason being is because it'll probably be around the same stock, perhaps just a little less. More importantly though, there is definitely far less competition when it comes to in-store raffles, simply because not everyone is within driving distance of those stores. So here are the stores on the screen that will most likely be getting them. If you're within driving distance, within like 4 hours or 3 hours, I highly recommend going to make the drive for these because it will be worth it. Moving on, you will see that you have a spot for the email address, and now in previous videos we've gone over where you can use the +1 +2 jig, where essentially all you have to do instead of creating new email addresses, you just got to add a +1 or +2, or it could be a +50, +1000. There's no cap to it, right before the @gmail.com. Now for sneakers and stuff, and most of these raffles I'm going to be mentioning, I'm actually going to recommend that you don't use this, but instead I would advocate that you just simply create brand new email addresses. It only takes a couple of seconds or minutes to create on gmail.com, so I highly recommend that you go ahead and do that. Then moving on to the address, obviously you can't make multiple addresses, that's just not possible, but what you can do is alter the address just a little bit so the algorithm doesn't see it as the same address. For instance, with the last word in your address, whether it be road or street, you could change that up just slightly so the characters are different. For instance, I've mentioned this in many previous videos. You could do ST, ST dot, etc. And just for an extra layer of security, guys, I also recommend if they ever provide you with an address line too, and you don't happen to live in an apartment building, because this won't work if you do live in an apartment building, but if you happen to live in a house, here's what I recommend. You add a 1A, or it could be a 1B, or a 2C. The algorithm will see this as separate apartment buildings. Next up, you will notice that you have to input a phone number for the phone number. There is no verification process unlike the email, so you can just put in a random phone number because it's not like they're going to be sending you any shipping information or anything like that through that phone number. And finally, for SNS that we actually luckily don't see for a lot of these other raffles, you will have to use different payment methods. So what they actually do is they take your payment method, and if you win, they automatically charge you. But of course, if it is an in-store release, they're not going to charge you, but it is important that you use different payment methods. You could use your father's, you could use your mother's, you could use your wife's credit card or PayPal, whatever it is, or you could actually check out privacy.com. That is something I recommend as well. But that'll conclude it for SNS. Like I mentioned, we're going to be using that as sort of a reference point. So moving on to the next raffle, which is currently open, we have UBIQ. The UBIQ raffle is essentially the same exact process as SNS. However, luckily we do not have to use a payment method, which is great, but unfortunately you do need Instagrams. Now, I always mention that you should not use fake Instagram accounts just because they will sense that that's a little suspicious when you have 0 followers, but instead I would recommend that you just have a friend or family member follow them for you. Once the raffle's over, they can unfollow them. Now, I do actually believe for UBIQ it is for in-store pickup only, and I think it's in Philadelphia, but I'm just gonna be honest with you guys. If you're in the United States, if you're only a couple hours away, it's definitely worth the drive, and we're going to talk about that when it comes to the resale predictions portion of the video. And finally, for UBIQ, you definitely have to make sure that you confirm your email address. They're going to send you an email. Once you get it, it'll say click here to confirm your email address, and that's all you have to do. Moving on to the next raffle that is also currently open, we have the exhibition raffle, which is essentially the same process as S&S. Actually, it's more close to the same process as UBIQ. For this one, luckily, you don't need an address, just like UBIQ, and you don't need a payment method, luckily, which makes it super easy to make tons of entries. But unfortunately, you are going to need an Instagram. Not only that, but you are going to have to follow them, like the picture, and tag 3 friends in their post. Now, the next raffle I actually wanted to talk about didn't actually start yet, and I'm not sure, not 100% if they are going to be doing it. This is for Europe and the United States. I do believe they will be doing an in-store raffle, very similar to how they did it for the 10, but I could be wrong on this. I'm not sure if they're going to be doing it. All updates will be on my Twitter, which is KeithAdam10. If anything, for any small updates, they'll always be up there. Now, moving on to some other online raffles that haven't actually opened up and that I don't have a lot of info on. We have the extra butter raffle, and they should be doing one. Just follow their Instagram to stay updated. Then also Excelsior Milano should do another one as well. Follow their Instagram to stay updated. And for both of these raffles, I'm assuming they're going to be doing a Google Doc type raffle, so it should be the same process as UBIQ and also the same tactics we've been using with S&S. And finally, End Clothing did make an announcement that they would be releasing these at the end of the month. They did not release them on the 9th. They did not make any announcement about the 19th yet. But I do believe End Clothing should be doing something in the future. I'll keep you updated on that though. If End Clothing does hypothetically do it on this same date, the 19th, or just in general when they happen to do it, here's what you have to do, guys. It's just the same process as sneakers and stuff, where you would have to use different payment methods, but the only difference is you're going to actually have to implement this information into brand new accounts and then enter those accounts and remember the password for each one, obviously. Unlike S&S, where you just need to put down your information and you're done. Now, I also briefly wanted to talk about the Foot Action raffle. Well, it's not actually a raffle, just through the reservation app, and unfortunately, there is only one location that is in Chicago. I'll have this actual city on the screen right now. And you might be wondering, Keith, what the heck is the point of even mentioning this? Well, my point is that, like I mentioned before, no matter where you live, it's worth the drive. Now, you'll notice when you go into the Foot Action app, nothing will pop up. That's because you're not within range, most likely, unless you happen to be in Chicago. So what you have to do is see the city that's on the screen right now. Just type in the zip code for that city, where it says zip code underneath your launch locator. Then this should pop up. Click on it and sign up. Now, you will most likely only have a 9-minute head start, or if you haven't spent that much money, you will only have a 6-minute head start. To get that extra minute head start, all you really need to do is get that PIN number from a friend, because you get it 2 ways. Either checking in at a store through Bluetooth or entering a PIN number. Now, when it came to the Travis Scott release, I know a lot of you guys couldn't make it to stores, so what I actually did, I drove a long way just to get that PIN number for you guys. And then I put it on my Twitter. I gave you the zip code for that location as well as the PIN number, so you guys could get your extra minute and have a better chance at copying. This actually worked for a lot of us. Now, unfortunately, I am nowhere near Chicago, and I physically am not going to be able to make the drive, so perhaps I'll give a retweet to someone on my Twitter who happens to have the PIN number with the zip code, so we could all get that 1-minute head start. And who knows, maybe we'll be making some road trips to Chicago. Also, just to stay updated on anything that happens, I will also probably make videos on it, so turn on post notifications so you don't miss out on anything. Now, I also wanted to mention an in-store raffle that I found, and I do believe this is only for Louisiana, so if you happen to be within driving range for that, feel free to sign up for the Sneaker Politics raffle. And now, unfortunately, regarding first come first serve releases, there are none confirmed as of now, unless I happen to have missed one, and perhaps it just came out after I recorded this video. Honestly, I think that there might be some first come first serve releases. For instance, I think that Dover Street Market New York and Dover Street Market London might actually do something. But again, this isn't confirmed, but if anything pops up, I will keep you guys updated. And now finally, the last thing I wanted to mention was, of course, the resale predictions. So do I think they're going to sell out? Do I think that they're going to resell? Yes. But more importantly, what I wanted to mention is you guys were asking like, hey, should I sell or hold them? Look, in my opinion, I think that after the 19th, I think that resale should jump up just a little bit. At least that's what happened with the Off-White Converse. Now, I understand the Off-White Converse was much more limited than these UNCs. However, you have to keep in mind that it's supply and demand, and there was evidently much more demand on these Off-White UNCs. So I still think that there's a lot of potential for these to actually rise in price after the 19th, but as of now, you do see that sizes like 10 or even 11 are hovering around $800 and $700, which is really low for an Off-White Jordan 1, but of course that's because of the high stock. I think that if you give these enough time, enough meaning like perhaps 6 months or to 8 months, maybe even 12 months, I do think you will make substantially more money. But if you want to sell them now and just cash out, that's fine too. What I actually recommend though, put those things on your feet. Rock them. These are definitely just super beautiful. I'm a fan of Virgil's art. I happen to like Off-White as a brand a lot. So hopefully I luck out on one of these raffles. Hopefully you guys luck out on some of these raffles as well. But also guys, feel free to leave a like if you enjoyed this video, if you perhaps learned a thing or two. Definitely subscribe and turn on notifications so you stay updated on all hyped releases just like this. But with that, have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll see you guys later.
Take them bang, ding, 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 bing, bang, bong, bing, 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 bing.